Welcome back. We're here with Richard Burdick for session 23 of his numismatic interview. And Richard, last time we talked about a dealer that you've dealt with several times, Jonathan Kern. And can you show us a couple of the other pieces that you got from Jonathan?
Well, I have this piece right here. It's a 10 lib, $10 gold piece struck in this country that has been overstruck to make, they use it as a planchet to overstrike a token.
Birthday Coal Company, Tioga. I'm not sure how the pronunciation.
It's Tioga.
You can still see some of the date underneath the West Virginia. Very neat, very neat. Do you know anything about the history of that?
Nothing at all. It's just something I bought from Jonathan many years ago, back in probably the mid-'80s. I've never seen anything else like it. Very seldom do they use a gold coin to make any of this exonomia stuff. It's just, it costs a lot of money to make trinkets out of gold coins.
Yep. Very cool. All right. What's the next item you brought home today to show us?
Well, I've got some of these antique coin weights that were used for various reasons. Let's go back to one of the oldest ones first. This is actually looks like a banjo case. And these are quite rare. I've only seen maybe one other one. They would slide this to keep it shut. But this was used on an international basis, probably back over 200 years ago. When ships sailed around the world, they had to have a common way to establish value of things. So they would, inside they had this weight where you could weigh things of very fine weight, caliper, let's say. I'm gonna let you pick that up.
I'm just gonna move the camera. So it's just a simple balance beam scale?
Yes.
Can you take it out and show everybody how it works?
I'd rather have you do that part. Here's one of the count. You've got it. But this type of scale was probably used far back as the Egyptians, because they everything was a barter system, and you had to be able to establish values. And often they do it by weight.
So did the scale go on this end, or did the weight go?
I can't remember, actually. The counterweight would have to go down here, wouldn't it? The counterbalance.
I guess we just don't use it enough to know.
I've never used it, actually. You'd have to pay whatever you're trying to weigh. You could meter it by the scales.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to use it, so.
Well, you'd put something in here and then move it down to where it bounces, I think.
Very cool, very cool. I've seen some other ones that they look like the scales of justice, but this one's actually quite different. This little ivory rod here would have markings on it for different things.
I found this at a coin show probably 30 years ago. Interesting item.
Interesting. If we skip ahead 100 years, the Industrial Revolution brought about other items such as this one right here. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, this is another balance scale that you could use to tell if a coin was of good weight. In other words, a counterfeit might not weigh what a normal coin should weigh. And you could also weigh gold coins from other countries, France, England, see if they were the correct weight. So if people would try to hand off counterfeit gold coins, this is a way to figure out if they're real or not, up to real weight, proper weight.
Well, let's take a look and see if this actually works. We have it set for United States 50-cent piece. I'm going to stick here a Colombian half in here. Oops, it slid down. up here where we can see what we're doing. There's the line for 50 cents right there. Let's take a look and see if this does indeed work.
I've checked it out, and it does work. Works with Standing Liberty quarters, Barber quarters, Mercury dimes.
Yep. So if that was a lead weight, lead counterfeit, then it would just... All right. Well, that's very cool, Richard. Now, it looks like you have some currency here. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, this has got quite a story to it, actually. When I was in 7th grade, we took a trip to the Chicago Science and Industry Museum, which was a fascinating place. But in the gift shop, they had things for sale, and there was this thing like you'd see postcards that would spin around and had all this stuff hanging off. Well, I noticed this money, and I was fascinated by it. And it was only 50 cents a pack. You got maybe 10 pieces of paper money for 50 cents. I bought, I think, 9-pack. I bought all they had. And I was looking at it on the bus on the way home. I was just fascinated by it. So a few days later, I took it down to the local coin shop, and I showed it to him, and he said, "Can I buy this stuff?" And I said, "Well, I only had maybe 5 pieces." And he offered me like $5 for 3 pieces. So I sold it. I didn't have that much money in it. And I thought, well, maybe other people buy this stuff. So I ride my bike down to grocery stores, restaurants, and people would buy this stuff for $2, $3 a piece. I thought, this is great. So I went in a bar one time. The bartender said, "Kid, you got to get out of here. You can't be in here." And I said, "Well, you want to buy some of this old money?" And it was a $5 bill. And he said, "Well, how much is it?" I said, "It's $20. And he bought it, gave me $20. And I thought, gosh almighty, this is fun. So I kept selling it. And one day, I wasn't home. There was a knock at the door, and it was 2 FBI agents. And they wanted to talk to my mother. They asked if I was there. And my dad knew that I'd been selling this stuff. And the FBI agent said that your son might be in a lot of trouble because he's been selling all this stuff. The words got out. Everybody's bringing this stuff down to the coin shop. You sold that guy some too. He says, he can't do this. And my dad says, "Well, what's wrong?" He says, "Well, he's selling counterfeit money." And my dad said, "This is money from the Civil War and the colonial period. It's not federal money." And the FBI agents kind of looked at each other, and they said, "Well, we're going to have to check on this, but in the meantime, we suggest that you have your son cease and desist from doing this." So I didn't sell anymore, but this is all I got left, actually. But I never added it up, but I had to make maybe $1,000.
What did you do with the money?
I spent the money on flat pack proof sets. I started hoarding proof sets. I had grocery sacks full of proof sets before the market crashed in proof sets. And I lost some of my money. I sold it before they went all the way down. But if 1963, that was about the peak of the proof set market, maybe 64 actually. 65, everything started going down in value. I mean, the more common stuff. I hadn't got into the really early coins at that point. Well, the money I did sell, the proof sets and a lot of silver dollars that I'd made some really good money on, I got out of circulation. I started buying early. Well, the first piece I ever bought was a V-nickel, a Gemunk V-nickel, 1883, no cents. I paid $15 for that coin. And I put it in my put-away box. It was there for many, many years. In 1989, I sent a box into NGC, and the coin that I was talking about, the nickel graded 67, which was a pretty good number at that time. In 1989-90, the coin market went nuts. So I took that Liberty nickel and number of other coins. I took them to a show and sold them. Well, that one nickel that I was just speaking of, one of the big stealers in this country offered me $7,500. No, it was $7,200. I sold it in the New York Minute. True story.
Wow.
I won't mention the dealer's name, because he probably wouldn't appreciate it. The market crashed right at it. I think it's hard to sell anything. after 1990.
Wow. We have a couple of spoons here that we've touched on spoons in the past episodes, and we have these are some that you kind of held back and didn't show us.
Yeah, I had an incredible coin spoon collection. I don't have very many pieces left, but I've saved what I consider my best ones or my favorite ones.
So we're going to open this one up here. Let's go ahead and show the audience here what we have here. One is on a beautiful $50, 1829, cupped. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Well, I actually don't know that much about it, other than I've never seen another coin spoon made this way. I've never seen another coin spoon bust $50. I have seen ladles with bust $50.
Looks like it was a fairly high-grade coin that they had.
Yes, it was. That's really a great, both of these are really great pieces.
What about this other piece here? It looks like a 1909 Lincoln.
It is.
A VDB on the back, of course. And looks like it has an Indian. 1909. And tell me a little bit about this piece here. This is very odd.
Well, there again, I don't remember where I bought it, but to me it was so interesting that somebody took a 1909 Indian cent and a 1909 Lincoln cent and put them together on a spoon, so you've got the first and last year of issue.
Now, this used to be part of a collection that you had, didn't it?
Well, yeah, for many years I put together, I put anything that had to do with coins, I might consider it for my collection. So I got into this thing of buying coin spoons.
Right.
And
You want to tell the story about the rest of the coins that were with that one?
Well, yes. I had acquired a collection in a Riker mount that was several dozen pieces, all were on 1 cent pieces. Lincoln pennies, Indian pennies. And I decided, well, you know, there's a collector from California who specializes in collecting small cents, Indian pennies, Lincoln pennies. I thought, you know, I'll take my favorite piece out of there and I'll offer it to her as a collection. And so I took it to an A&A and I offered it to her. Of course, she didn't like the price. And at about the same time, another very well-known dealer collector came up and asked what we were doing. And she said, well, Richard offered me this collection, but he wants too much money for it. So the other guy said, well, how much is it? I said, well, it's $1,000. He says, well, I'll buy it. And she grabbed it out of his hands and she bought it. And years later, I did offer her this piece, and she just thought it was too much money. That's fine. I'm still glad to still own that one.
That's a very unique piece.
Yeah.
A changeover piece for that year because
Exactly.
it has both coins. Here's another interesting spoon out of your collection. Let's take a look at this piece here.
Yeah, it's really hard to find coin spoons with gold coins. This has got, I believe it's a Napoleonic 5 franc?
40 franc.
40 franc. I haven't looked at that in a long time.
Dated 1811.
Yeah, that's a very good piece right there.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Really nicely done.
That came out of a collection in Chicago, oddly enough. That was him. Him and his wife collected coin stuff for over 50 years. And that was one of the pieces they saved the very last. And I've got the best piece out of that collection, and I'll show you later.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a little break here. Remember, if you're enjoying this series, please like and subscribe so you'll be notified when we post new videos. Thank you.